What do you do when your name's on the building, but no one inside knows who you are anymore? Gavin Fairfield stared at the shipping manifest on his desk, frustration rising. He built the company with his father, inherited it fully after his dad passed 3 years ago. 13 package depots across the Midwest, over 400 employees. On paper, the numbers looked decent. But over the last 6 months, customer complaints were climbing and turnover at a few locations, especially the North Ridge Depot, was higher than ever. His COO kept saying it was just the labor market. Gavin wasn't buying it. He hadn't visited the North Ridge location since the expansion. He'd never met any of the current crew there. The company had grown too fast, and somewhere along the way he'd become the guy upstairs. So he made a call. 2 days later, Gavin walked into the North Ridge Depot as Logan Fields, a new trainee fresh out of a temp agency. Ball cap, scruffy beard, fake glasses, a padded jacket to bulk him up. He'd practiced a slight Kansas drawl just to throw people off. Nobody blinked. The place was chaos. Boxes covered the floor, loud music blared from a Bluetooth speaker behind the front counter, and 2 workers were arguing over whose turn it was to unload the truck. A tall woman with sharp cheekbones and a headset approached him. "You the new guy?" "Yeah, Logan. I'm Haley, Supervisor." "Don't slow us down." She didn't shake his hand, just pointed toward the back. "Go find Marcus. He'll get you gloves and a vest." The place smelled like sweat and motor oil. Gavin Logan followed the sound of shouting to the loading dock. Marcus was easy to spot. Big guy, early 20s, sunflower tattoo on his neck, moving a dolly loaded with boxes faster than anyone else. "You Marcus?" "Yeah, you the temp." He tossed Gavin a vest and a pair of gloves with a hole in the palm. "Keep your head down, Haley don't like questions." Gavin nodded. That first day he lifted, stacked, scanned, and sorted. His muscles ached. He slipped once on a wet patch of floor and hit his knee hard, no safety signs. Nobody checked on him. "Don't sit down," Marcus whispered. "She'll write you up." By hour 6, Gavin was soaked through. He watched a guy named Tyler wrap his wrist in duct tape. "You all right?" Gavin asked. Tyler winced. "Sprained it 3 days ago. Haley told me to man up, said if I wanted time off I could kiss my job goodbye." Gavin stared at him. "Did you go to a doctor?" Tyler laughed dryly. "Can't afford to. I'm on probation. No benefits yet." That night, Gavin sat in his motel room with a heating pad strapped to his back. He couldn't sleep. His stomach was tight. His dad used to say, "You don't know your company till you sweat with the people who keep it standing." Well, he was sweating now. Day 2, things got worse. Haley yelled at Marcus in front of everyone for missing a scan, even though it was Gavin's mistake. "Stop covering for people," she snapped. "We're not running a daycare." Marcus didn't argue, just nodded and kept moving. Later, Gavin found him behind the dumpster, icing his shoulder with a frozen burrito from the break room freezer. "Why don't you report her?" Gavin asked. "Who's gonna listen?" Marcus muttered. "District guy only shows up when we're behind on shipments. He thinks Haley's a hero." That night, Gavin called his assistant, Sam. "Don't send anyone to North Ridge, not yet. I need a few more days." "Understood." He hung up and sat in silence. He'd built this company with pride, but pride didn't mean much if the people under his roof were scared to ask for help. The worst moment came on day 3. A young woman named Kayla slipped on the loading dock ramp. Gavin was right behind her. She hit the ground hard and screamed in pain. Her ankle twisted at an ugly angle. Haley came running, not with concern but with a clipboard. "What happened?" "She fell," Gavin said. "She needs a doctor. She'll be fine." "Kayla, can you stand?" Kayla sobbed. "I can't." Haley turned to Gavin. "Help her to the break room." "I'll write up an incident report later." "No," Gavin said firmly. "She needs an ambulance." Haley's eyes narrowed. "You don't make that call." "I do." Gavin stared at her. "You're not a medic. Don't get smart." Kayla cried the whole way to the back. Haley never once looked at her again. That night, Gavin sat in his car for an hour before driving back to the motel. His knee throbbed. His back was on fire, but none of that mattered. Because tomorrow he wasn't coming back as Logan. He was coming back as the CEO. The next morning, Gavin pulled into the depot lot just past 5:30. This time, he was in a button-down shirt, clean jeans, and a company fleece with Fairfield Logistics stitched above the chest. His beard was gone, the glasses tucked away in his glove compartment. As he stepped out of his car, the warehouse lights flickered on behind the wire mesh windows. He walked through the employee entrance without announcing himself. No clipboard, no entourage, just him. Inside, workers were already moving pallets. A forklift beeped in reverse as it navigated the tight aisles. The same Bluetooth speaker from earlier blared a muffled bass line from behind a stack of crates. No one noticed him at first, then Marcus walked around the corner with a hand truck and froze. "You're—" Gavin gave him a slow nod. "Yeah, Gavin Fairfield." Marcus set the hand truck down carefully, eyes locked on him. "Where's Haley?" Gavin asked. "She's in the office, probably filling out paperwork for yesterday. Stay out here. I need a moment alone with her." Haley didn't look up when he entered. She was at her desk, typing with one hand and sipping coffee with the other. "Give me a second," she said, not turning around. "I've already given you 4 days." She paused. Slowly, she turned her chair. Her eyes flicked to the logo on his chest, then to his face. Recognition settled in like a slow chill. "You're the temp," she said, voice flat. "No, I'm the owner." She leaned back, arms crossed. "I didn't know that's the problem." He walked to the desk and placed a small, sealed envelope in front of her. "What's that?" "Your termination notice." Effective immediately. She opened her mouth, but he cut her off. "You ignored a serious injury, pressured an employee to keep working through a sprain, publicly berated staff, failed to maintain basic safety oversight. I've seen enough." Haley's jaw tightened. "You don't know what it's like running this place short-staffed. We don't get the support we need from regional. I'm not the problem. I've spent 3 days hauling boxes and watching your team cover for your negligence. I know exactly where the problem is." She stood, hands clenched. "You're making a mistake." "I already did. I trusted people to lead without checking in. That ends now." He turned and walked out. Haley didn't follow. Back on the floor, the crew had gathered near the conveyor. No one spoke until Gavin approached. "She gone?" Marcus asked. Gavin nodded. "She won't be back." A few workers exchanged glances. One woman, tall, curly hair tied back with a bandana, stepped forward. "What happens now, you tell me," Gavin said. "Who here knows this place better than anyone?" Everyone looked at Marcus. He shifted his weight, unsure. "I've been here about 2 years. I know the routes, the scan system, the load schedules. That's all. You've also taken on other people's mistakes, kept things moving without recognition, and trained 3 temps last month without being asked. I've got your file." Marcus looked at the ground. "I'm not a manager. You don't have to be, but I need someone I can trust to help stabilize this place, just temporarily. Would you step in while we bring in a proper replacement?" He hesitated. "Only if I can do it right. I'm not doing it her way." "Good." Gavin turned to the rest of the crew. "I'm not here to flip everything overnight, but some things changed today. First, the dock's being shut down for 2 hours so we can fix the ramp and lay non-slip strips. Second, anyone with an injury gets checked out by a medical professional. Paid time, no exceptions." Tyler raised a hand. "Even if we're still on probation, especially if you're still on probation." The tension in the room didn't disappear, but it shifted. People stood straighter. A few nodded. Gavin continued, "We'll be hiring 2 more full-timers this week. Marcus will help screen them. Until then, I'll be here. Not in a corner office. Right here. If something's broken, say it. If someone's out of line, report it." He stepped aside. "Go take 10. You've earned it." As the group dispersed, Marcus lingered beside him. "Why'd you come undercover?" he asked. "Because I stopped trusting what I was hearing. And I needed to feel what you feel. You felt it, every step of it." Gavin spent the next hour walking the floor with a clipboard, jotting down what needed repairs. The breakroom fridge's door seal was torn. The scanner at Station 3 froze every 4th scan. The backup generator hadn't been serviced in over a year. He didn't write these down to delegate later. He called the facilities team himself. By mid-morning, Kayla arrived on crutches, her ankle wrapped and elevated. Her sister had driven her in to retrieve her belongings. Gavin approached gently. "I'm sorry you weren't taken care of right away," she looked up. "I didn't expect anyone to say that. I'd like to make it right. You'll stay on payroll while you recover. We'll cover your medical bills. And when you're ready, there's a spot here for you or at any depot you choose." Her voice cracked. "Why would you do that? Because you deserve better, and I failed to make sure you had it." She nodded slowly, brushing at her cheek. "I'll think about it." As she left, Gavin noticed a few employees watching from the far end of the belt. He didn't wave or say anything, just turned back to the floor. By noon, the safety team had arrived to inspect the dock. 2 HR reps were on site to begin anonymous interviews with staff. Gavin met with them briefly, made it clear there was no tolerance for retaliation or cover-ups. After lunch, he sat with the route scheduler, a man named Felix who rarely spoke more than a sentence. "You've kept this place running with a skeleton crew for 6 weeks?" Gavin asked. Felix nodded once. "You ever ask for help?" "Twice. Haley said to figure it out or find another job." Gavin leaned forward. "You're not going to hear that again." Felix didn't smile, but he did nod a second time, slightly deeper than the first. That afternoon, Gavin joined the crew unloading a late truck. No speeches, no orders, just sweat and movement. When he misjudged the weight on a crate and nearly tipped it, Marcus steadied it without a word. They kept working. As the sun dipped behind the building, casting long shadows across the lot, Gavin stood outside the depot and watched the last few employees clock out. One of them, the woman with the bandana, walked past and muttered, "Feels different already." He didn't respond. He didn't need to. Inside, the depot was still noisy, still imperfect, still behind on a few shipments. But it was also standing taller, not fixed, but no longer ignored. Gavin stayed until the last truck rolled out, then locked up with Marcus and handed him a spare set of keys. "Just for now," he said. Marcus nodded. "I'll hold it down." Gavin believed him. Marcus unlocked the side door shortly before 6 the next morning. Gavin was already inside, seated near the rear loading dock with a tablet and a mug of gas station coffee. He wasn't pretending to be anyone else now. He was there as himself, quietly observing, listening, and filling in wherever he could. The depot wasn't fixed just because Haley was gone. Boxes were still backed up on 2 routes. The scanner at Station 3 had frozen again overnight, and the overtime roster was already full for the week. But the tension had changed. Workers moved with the same urgency, but not the same dread. Gavin's plan was to stay embedded for another 2 days before transitioning oversight to a regional leadership team, but only after ensuring the right people were in place. Felix was already reviewing the delivery manifests at his desk when Gavin approached. "Morning," Gavin said. Felix raised his eyes briefly, then returned to the screen. "Anything we missed yesterday?" Felix pushed his glasses up his nose. "Some late routing changes came in from corporate. They redirected a whole load meant for Cedar Falls to us. We can't absorb that on current staffing." "How many extra stops?" 17, Gavin nodded. "We'll divert half to Eastside." "I'll call their manager directly." Felix gave a slight tilt of the head. A gesture Gavin had come to understand meant approval. Gavin moved across the depot floor, where the crew was just beginning to load the first truck. A young man in a faded hoodie was struggling to lift a crate onto the dolly without tipping it. Gavin stepped in beside him. "Too heavy." "It's not that," the man said, catching his breath. I got here yesterday. No one showed me how to balance the weight." Gavin reached down and adjusted the straps. "Name? Lewis. Stick with me this morning, we'll go over the basics." As they worked, Gavin noticed a pattern. Lewis was quick to adjust, asked questions without hesitation, and had a sharp eye for damaged packaging. Despite limited training, he was clearly trying to keep pace. "You come from another depot?" Gavin asked. "No, I was doing warehouse work downstate. Temp agency sent me here." "What you think so far?" Lewis hesitated. "Better than the last place, at least people talk to you here." Gavin didn't press further. He didn't need to. By mid-morning, a black SUV pulled into the lot. Sam stepped out, carrying 2 clipboards and a sealed envelope. She spotted Gavin near the dock and crossed over. "Regional HR team just finished initial interviews," she said quietly. "There's something you should see." Gavin took the envelope, opened it, and read the first page. His jaw tightened. "Is this confirmed?" Sam nodded. 3 separate testimonies. Same wording, same pattern. He folded the paper and handed it back. "Bring her in." Sam moved with practiced calm across the depot floor and approached a woman near the sorting table. She looked up from her scanner. Mid-30s, tall, thick braid coiled under her cap. "Angela, can I see you in the back office?" Angela followed without resistance. Inside, Gavin stood behind the desk, arms folded. He waited until the door clicked shut behind her. "Angela," he began, "do you remember training a man named Tarek last month?" She nodded slowly. "Yeah." "He didn't last long. Why not?" "Didn't have the right attitude. Walked slow, took too many breaks, wasn't a fit." Gavin held her gaze. 3 other employees said they heard you tell him to go back to where he came from, that he wouldn't last because this isn't a charity for people with accents." Angela's expression didn't change. "I don't remember saying that. Do you deny it?" "I don't recall the conversation." Gavin stepped forward. "I have 3 separate accounts, one of them from someone who didn't even like Tarek. If this happened on my floor, it's not a misunderstanding." "It's discrimination." Angela's voice sharpened. "With all due respect, I've been here longer than most. I've trained over 50 people. I don't need to explain my methods." "I'm not asking you to explain them," Gavin said. "I'm telling you they're unacceptable." She shifted her weight, arms crossing. "So what now? Your employment here is terminated, effective immediately. You'll be escorted off-site." Angela's eyes narrowed. "You're tossing me out based on hearsay. I'm removing you because I believe the people who had the courage to speak up. And I won't allow anyone who treats others like that to represent this company." Angela didn't argue further. She walked out stiffly. Sam followed close behind. By the time Gavin returned to the floor, word had already spread. The air had gone still again, not fearful but watchful. He stepped up onto a pallet near the center of the room and raised his voice just enough to be heard. "Some of you heard that Angela's no longer with us. That decision wasn't made lightly, but I want to be very clear: this is a place where every person deserves respect, regardless of how they talk, where they're from, or how long they've been here." No one said anything, but Lewis raised his eyes and gave a small nod. "We're not perfect," Gavin continued, "but we're going to be better, and that starts with how we treat each other when nobody's watching." He stepped down and went back to work. Later that afternoon, Gavin found Marcus in the break room, poring over a set of printed schedules. "You all right?" Gavin asked. Marcus looked up. "Trying to rearrange next week's shifts. We've got one guy quitting Friday and another asking for bereavement leave. Family loss, grandmother. He's trying to get back to Milwaukee. Approve it. We'll figure the rest out." Marcus nodded and leaned back. "Can I ask something?" "Of course." "You think this place really changes long term?" Gavin sat down across from him. "I don't know yet, but I know if it doesn't, that's on me now." Marcus tapped the paper. "I've seen people come in with good intentions. They leave. System stays the same." "I'm not here to make gestures," Gavin said. "This isn't about a press release or a performance. I built this company with my father. I let it drift. Now I'm anchoring it again." Marcus studied him a moment. "Then you'll need more than a few policy changes." "I know. That's why I'm not leaving until I've got the right people in place and the wrong ones out." Marcus folded the schedule. "All right. Then let's fix it." By the end of that shift, Gavin had personally reviewed every open injury report, reinstated hazard pay for overnight dock crews, and scheduled a mandatory safety audit for the following week. He didn't make speeches. He didn't need to. That evening, as the last truck pulled away, Lewis approached him near the loading doors. "You staying tomorrow too?" "Yeah," Gavin said. "Few more things to finish." Lewis hesitated, then said, "Just wanted to say, thanks for not pretending none of it mattered." Gavin nodded. You keep showing up like you won't be a temp for long. Lewis smiled faintly and turned back toward the lot. Gavin stayed behind a few minutes longer, watching as the depot emptied out. The building wasn't quieter, but it felt steadier, not perfect, not yet, but different. Tomorrow, he'd begin the final steps. The work wasn't done. But it had begun with truth, action, and the knowledge that leadership only matters when it shows up where it hurts. Gavin stood inside the North Ridge Depot one last time before opening. The cement floor still bore the scuffs and oil stains of rushed nights and under-maintained forklifts. A busted intercom speaker above the breakroom door buzzed faintly. The building hadn't changed much in 3 weeks, not physically. But what happened inside it had. Every decision made since he walked in as Logan had been deliberate, measured, and rooted in what people had shown him, not what they said. Now it was time to hand the wheel to those who'd earned it. Marcus came in early as usual. He wore a plain gray polo, the new shift lead badge clipped to his collar. He didn't walk differently, didn't hold himself with any exaggerated posture, but his eyes scanned the floor with a quiet sense of responsibility. "You're early," Gavin said, didn't sleep much. Kept thinking about the new guys starting today. How many? 2. One's from Eastside, transferred in. The other did 3 years at a bottling plant in Minneapolis. Said he wanted something steadier. "You think they'll stick?" "I'm more worried if we'll stick to them." Gavin gave a single nod. "That's the right worry." The first crew started arriving just after 6. Felix was already at his station, sorting through routing updates with a fresh cup of coffee and a clipboard full of reroute slips. He gave Gavin a short glance, then went back to work. Lewis entered with his hoodie zipped to the neck and a folded paper tucked under his arm. He approached Gavin cautiously. "I filled out the full-time form. Sam said I should give it to you." Gavin took the paper. "You've shown up early every day, haven't missed a step, and stepped in when others hesitated. You're on the roster starting Monday." A flicker of emotion passed over Lewis's face, something between disbelief and quiet pride. He nodded once and turned without a word. By mid-morning, the new hires were paired with experienced staff, shadowing on the floor. Marcus stayed within earshot, redirecting where needed but didn't hover. Gavin watched from the far end, noting how Marcus offered direction, never barking, always precise. At break, Gavin invited Felix and Sam into the small back office. He pulled the blinds halfway and sat across from them. "We've stabilized the floor," Gavin said. "But that's not the same as fixing the structure. I want your candid take. What are we still missing?" Felix didn't look up immediately. "We're still too thin on coverage. If 2 people call out, we fall behind. I've already approved 1 more full-time and 1 floater. We'll post the listings by tomorrow," Sam added. Felix nodded. "That helps, but it's not just bodies, it's training. We can't keep expecting people to learn on day 1 by guessing." Sam opened a folder. "I'm drafting a formal onboarding checklist, step-by-step, task-specific. I'll train Marcus on it next week." "Good," Gavin said. "And once it's finalized, it should be used at every depot." "Not just here." Felix looked up this time. "You're not just testing it here. This place showed me the cracks. It makes sense to build the foundation here first." They stood to leave, but Gavin motioned for Sam to stay. When the door shut, he leaned back in his chair. "There's one more piece I need your help with. The manager coming in next month, they'll need support. Real support. I don't want another Haley situation where someone builds a false wall of control." Sam tapped her pen slowly. "I've already vetted 2 candidates. Both internal, both from sites with no record of safety violations or HR complaints, but I want your sign-off. I'll make time tomorrow, and I want Marcus to sit in on the interviews." Sam's brow lifted. "You're giving him a say in management. He's earned it. And he knows more about this place than either candidate." Sam gave a quiet nod. "I'll set it up." Later that day, Gavin walked the outbound route with Lewis and one of the new hires, a tall man named Deshaun who moved with the confident rhythm of someone used to physical work. They navigated the belt system, scanning and labeling until Deshawn hesitated at a crate with a torn corner. "This one's leaking," he said. "Smells like something sharp pierced the lining," Lewis leaned in. "Could be cleaning solvent, that's chemical freight." Gavin stepped forward. "Flag it. Pull it from the line, we'll repackage before it leaves." Deshawn pulled it aside, then turned to Gavin. "Just curious, you always walk the floor like this?" "Not always, but I should have." Deshawn gave a short, thoughtful nod. "Makes a difference." Gavin didn't respond. He didn't need to. The rest of the day passed without incident. A delivery error at Gate 3 was caught before it became a delay. A misrouted box was intercepted before it left the building. Small things, yes, but they added up. As the sun dipped low, casting a long stripe of gold across the polished metal rollers, Gavin gathered the full team near the dock. Everyone stood with gloves in hand, vests half unzipped, sweat still on their forearms. "I won't take long," Gavin began. "Some of you knew me as Logan. Some met me as Gavin. Either way, I want to leave one thing behind before I go." He glanced around the group. "This depot taught me something I'd forgotten, that policies look good on paper, but real leadership lives on the floor, in the cold, in the noise. In the hours after midnight when something goes wrong and someone decides whether to ignore it or fix it. Nobody shifted. Nobody looked away. You've already started the work of changing this place. I didn't do that, you did, by speaking up, by showing up, by refusing to let things stay broken. That matters." He looked to Marcus. "You're not the same man I met last month. You've grown into this role without asking for it. I expect you to keep growing. And I trust you to hold this place together until the new manager comes in." Marcus gave a single nod. Gavin turned to Lewis. "You've got a permanent spot now. Make the most of it. And when someone new walks through that door next week, remember what it felt like to be unsure. Be the person who makes it easier." Lewis nodded slowly. Gavin stepped back. "That's it. No big send-off. Just keep doing what you're doing. We'll be watching, and we'll be listening." The team dispersed quietly. No applause, no back pats, just the hum of the cooling fans and the sound of steel-toed boots on concrete. Gavin returned to the office one last time, gathered his notes, and paused at the door. He looked once more at the floor where Kayla had fallen. The yellow caution strip had been freshly painted, the ramp angle corrected. A small thing, but a sign. As he stepped outside into the fading light, Sam joined him by the car. "You sure you don't want to stay one more day?" "I'm sure." "They don't need me hovering, they need room to lead." She leaned against the car. "Feels different here, not fixed, but different. That's all I wanted." He opened the door, then stopped, put in a request for new gloves for the whole crew. "The ones here are worn thin." Sam gave a quiet laugh. "Done." Gavin closed the door and started the engine. As he pulled away, the depot shrank in the rearview mirror, just a low-slung building of steel and concrete. But inside it, something had shifted, not a transformation powered by slogans or sweeping reforms. Just people given the space to be heard, and a company finally choosing to listen.